I'm gonna be honest with you, everyone. I was not expecting today's chapter to be released so early. Not as early as 9 o'clock. That was something I was not able to foresee. But yet here we are, 9 o'clock in the morning. Now, mind you, this was told to me in Discord, but I didn't see the message because I was eating breakfast, so I didn't see it until after the fact. So that's the reason why it's scheduled at 9:20 rather than it being earlier, because apparently it was up earlier than that. But yet, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome to a early reading of the next chapter of Solo Leveling. We usually get it at 10 o'clock. Sometimes it's a little bit later and it tends to be 11, but I think this might be the first time when we got a chapter at 9 a.m. At least 9 a.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time. So let's go ahead and read through today's chapter. I made sure that I had it completely loaded through already. So let's go ahead and see what is what, because in the last chapter, we ended on the note of Jin coming face to face with the Monarch of Destruction. Destruction Monarch. Hopefully we find out his name in this chapter so I can just stop calling him that. Hopefully the chapter reveals to me his name. You know who you are. People that can't hold water and try to put it in the comments like you're doing me a favor. You're not. The chapters are what I trust. Moving on to chapter 173. It begins with the very first panel being Jin standing right in front of the Destruction Monarch, and they're both looking at each other. And then the Monarch is thinking to himself, I can't get in contact with the Monarch of the Iron Body. Did he betray me? Oh, so the names change. If I remember, it was Steel Body in the last chapter. And people were telling me that Iron Body is the official name from the light novel. So now it says Iron Body in this one. So now it's Iron Body in this chapter. I guess they corrected themselves. Thank you, translators. So that way I'm not flip-flopping between Iron Body or Steel Body. I can't get in contact with the Monarch of Iron Body. Did he betray me? Or is this part of your sorcery? And then we have him starting to breathe fire out of his mouth. And he immediately tries to atomic breath Jin by thinking, I must kill you for sure. And he blasts in the direction of Jin. Jin sees this blast, but it would appear that the blast engulfs him. Because the blast, I guess from the appearance of Jin's face, it looks like it's completely engulfing him. And it just shows the massive destruction. So you remember when Tusk first used his fire breath after first getting his Orb of Avarice, and he bored an entire hole through an entire city to the point where you couldn't even see buildings in the distance? That's essentially what the Destruction Monarch just did here, but on a much bigger scale. His breath was carried through the entire city, and you can't even see the horizon on the other side. Well, you can't even see any buildings on the horizon because he just cleared a straight path all the way through. And Jin, no, that's not Jin, that's the Monarch. I was about to call him the Sovereign. That the Monarch is standing here in front of the massive burnt hole he just burned through. He nuked an entire hole through a city, and it's massive. And he's just standing there as the flames are subsiding in his mouth. Then he looks up as he sees Kaisel, because I'm sure Jin's up there. Yep. And then Jin says, arise. And numerous monsters just erupt erupt up and just launch themselves towards the Destruction Monarch. And the Destruction Monarch pulls his hand up and just flexes it a little bit and slashes in one direction. No, that's not him. The Destruction Monarch just clenches his fist a little bit, and then we cut to Liu Zhigong, who's cutting the heads off some giants now. Dude is just straight murking these giants. He's slashing through them like Zoro slashed through Stone Pika during the later half of Dressrosa. He cuts off the head, but he also cuts off the entire midsection as well in just a few swipes. Dude just lays dismembered. And then he says, things like giants aren't much of a problem as long as we're not fighting at sea. All the magic power over land is trembling. There are probably... I said that really weirdly. I said that really weirdly and far too slowly. All the magic power over land is trembling. There are probably tens of thousands of hunters confronting endless numbers of magic beasts everywhere. Especially since I can feel my whole body getting pricked by that magic power at this distance. And he can tell that Jin is facing off. Jin is facing off against the Destruction Monarch in the distance because in this next panel here, it shows a massive wave of purplish blackish power on one side clashing with a massive wave of deep reddish power on the other. So remember how Ace was facing off against Blackbeard and they clash and one side was fire and one side was just straight darkness. That's pretty much how this panel makes the power of Jin and the Monarch clashing with each other look. Have they finally started over there as well? And it shows the Destruction Monarch, his body slowly, him gathering power in his hands and him swiping in one direction. And, oh my goodness, the mere swipe of his hand causes an immense explosion that just basically eclipses all the buildings in one direction, and all the shadows that Jin summoned are basically small black specks in the wake of this one swipe. It's wow. The buildings look this big in comparison to the ginormous wave that just came from the Monarch just swiping his hand once. This dude is a walking nuke. Everything he does is monstrous. Even all of Jin's shadows are just specks. They're like ink blots. Like tiny little ink blots in comparison to the size of the wave that just blew them all away. He just blew away whole buildings just from swiping his hand, and he's just standing there in the wake of everything just being blasted away from him. And then he says, are these good-for-nothing soldiers all you have? You sent your main force to the Monarch of Ironbody and tried to fight me with these mere troops? And he's looking in the direction of Jin, and in the distance, it shows Jin going towards a gate of his own making in the far-off distance? Is he trying to run away? I won't let him go no matter what. And the Destruction Monarch launches off the building that he's been standing off this whole time and just rockets towards Jin. Now, here's the thing about the Monarch. So how many fans of Injustice 2 out there? How many people have played Darkseid? Darkseid, one thing you know about Darkseid is that he mainly fights the entire time with his hands behind his back. That's how much of a boss Darkseid is. The Destruction Monarch has been standing here this whole time with his hands behind his back. And the way he launches at Jin, he's still got his hands behind his back. It's just like, I'm not even going to have my hands at my sides. This doesn't even constitute me bringing my arms down. I'm just going to jump in one direction and keep my hands behind my back. He's just launching himself off like he's on a leisurely stroll. He launches himself like he's on a leisurely stroll, and as he gets closer, like near point to the gate, someone comes out of the gate. Who is this? And this surprises the Monarch. And who is it who comes out the gate? But Jin's whole squad. Igris, Belion, Tank, Tusk, all of his giants, all of his soldiers, all of his dragons, even all of the ruler soldiers that came with Belion way back when, they're all standing right in front of the monarch. Oh, you've been played, bruh. And then the monarch says, has he already absorbed the troops of the monarch of Ironbody? And then the monarch looks behind him, and he sees, yo, Beru beat this dude down. We see Beru comes flying in, and Belion is there. I incorrectly said that Belion was there before. It was Iron who was there. He has the big giant halberd. Iron is there. Everyone, Igris, Iron, Tusk, Tank, everyone. Well, not Tusk, but Tank is there. You know, his big polar bear. But Belion and Beru are in the opposite direction of the monarch. And Beru has the fading remains of the monarch of Ironbody in his arms. Like, Beru comes flying in, and the legless, he's the armless, legless, faceless thing, won't you? Rolling down the street. He has the monarch of Ironbody just gripping him as the monarch himself is just fading away. He got no arms. He got no legs. He's just standing there like, I messed up, bruh. And Belion is just standing there with his giant sword looking like, yeah, we just took out one of your monarchs, but we're going to let our master fight you. Yo, Beru just murked. Beru, and I believe possibly Belion, but I want to say Beru was the one who just owned the Ironbody monarch. Yo, the fact that we see the monarch of Ironbody's ascended true form in one chapter. Yesterday's chapter. And this looks like the last we're going to see of it because it shows that he's been beaten by Beru. This is what happens when you insult his king. This dude just told you. Beru warned him, take back what you said about my king. And the monarch was all like, how dare a mere soldier speak to me? Beru ain't no mere soldier. And the fact that this dude is just left armless and legless as Beru's just holding him up is clear evidence of that. But as they stand there, the monarch says, he defeated the monarch of Ironbody's troops first and then came after me. Not a bad strategy. But you're being absurd, Shadow Monarch. And then we have the Monarch of Transfiguration watching from a distance. Now, we didn't know what he was doing, staying away from the Destruction Monarch after all this time, but he's watching this go down. And he's watching, and then numerous gates appear behind him. You might have thought I'd be the only one chasing after you, but you're wrong. These are the gates that the Monarch of Transfiguration, Yogumund, has prepared. So we have the name of the Monarch of Transfiguration, Yogumund. Peculiar name. Not saying that it's bad or anything. It's just peculiar in the way that I say it. It just feels like Yogumund. Yogumund. That name's going to stick with me for a while. These are the gates that the Monarch of Transfiguration, Yogumund, has prepared. By using these, I can summon as many of my troops as possible. Looks like I've completely crushed your plans. This misjudgment of yours will be the cause of your death. It's your loss. And then Jin is looking at him smiling. You only know Jin is smiling because he's got an ace in the hole. And then Jin says, cancel summon. And then all of his shadow soldiers just go back into him. He gets rid of his whole squad. Why did you cancel all your summons? Don't tell me you've given up already. Well, After seeing this overwhelming difference between us, it's not strange for you to give up. And it shows all of the Monarch of Destruction's troops all around Jin. They fill the skies, just endless amounts of dragons. He literally looks up and it's a cascading army of dragons all around him in one massively and beautifully colored panel. And Jin is just looking up at them all. And Jin has his eyes closed, and then cracks start to appear around his eyes. No! Yo! Yo! The only time we see cracks appear on an individual if they have the power of either a ruler or a monarch is when they're about to go into a new form, like we've seen with Thomas Andre. Is Jin about to do the same thing? We were just talking about this. We were just talking about this in chat at the end of the last chapter. Yo, is Jin about to get a glow up? But cracks start to come down from Jin's eyes, and the monarch is just looking on. Yo, he is! He is! Ah! Yo, Jin's body is changing! And then the monarch says, "It can't be, you bastard." And then, yo! We get narration. Stored in Kamish's rune stone is the skill that's the worst enemy of the dragon race. Did Jin just become a dragonborn? Stored in Kamish's rune stone is the skill that's the worst enemy of the dragon race. And Jin, okay, so he doesn't like fully transform or anything like that, but he does gain like shadow horns and like a big bit of a crest on his chest and big wings that come out of his back. Narration continues. A roar from the soul that incapacitates everyone and drops them into despair, regardless of whether they're allies or foes. Dragon fear. Yo! That's why he got rid of all of his summons, so that they're not affected by this power. That because if he used it, he would have incapacitated everyone on his side. It's your loss. Last word said before destruction. Yo! A roar from the soul that incapacitates everyone and drops them into despair, regardless of whether they're allies or foes. Dragon fear. And Jin just roars out entirely, and it reaches every single one of the Monarch's dragon troops. And it's widespread as well. Jin just pulled, I can't use my Bankai around other people, just like Kyoraku from Bleach. I can't use my Bankai around other people. I need to be as far away as possible. He just pulled a Katen Kyokotsu Karamatsu Shinju and hits every single one of these dragons with this widespread cry. And the thing is, all of them are airborne. They're all airborne, so they're definitely going to feel that drop. Then Yogumunt, the Monarch of Transfiguration, is stricken with fear as well. And then the Destruction Monarch is thinking, I understand if the dragons can't move, but did he manage to render Yogumunt incapable of moving as well? And then Jin is directly next to the Dragon Monarch. Oh my goodness! He's right next to him saying, follow me. He just pulled an Aizen, I don't want to do this here, and just has the Monarch by the arm. And then the Monarch is thinking, could it have all been for this moment? And then the panels just fill with darkness. Yo, he did! I was joking about him pulling a full Ichigo versus Aizen, saying, Aizen, I don't want to do this here. Let's go take this fight someplace else. And I thought he was just going to pull him I just thought he was going to pull him away from his troops. He's pulling the Dragon Monarch. I'm away from my mic. I gotta fully animate for you guys. He just pulled the Monarch to his little castle that his troops made for him all the way back on Japan. He literally said, Aizen, let's not do this here. And the Dragon Monarch's all like, only someone who has ascended past the power of Soul Reaper and Hollows can ever demand anything of me, and then just gets grabbed and taken against his will. Oh! Yo! Let's go! And the Monarch is standing there looking around saying, this is... And Jin says, a place on the opposite side of the world from where your army is. And the Monarch says... While an all-out war would be more advantageous to you if you had that many troops, it would also eat up your magic power much faster. Your plan to bring me here alone is an amazing strategy. I gotta say this right. Is that your castle? And Jin, kind of beside himself with the whole idea of him having a castle because his troops built it for him without his say-so. He just says, that's right. Considering that it belongs to the Shadow Monarch, it's not that impressive. And then Jin says, even so, I thought that castle would be perfect to commemorate your death. And then the Monarch says, so this fight would be about whether I can last until my troops find me or not. And then it shows the Monarch. What is going on with him? His body's changing. Like a horn comes out of the side of his head and his hair gets long and then the side of his face turns red. He's transforming in front of Jin. And then Jin washes on as the Monarch not fully shows himself, but it shows the Monarch standing in front of Jin, and Jin has summoned all of his troops with him right now. But we see the face of the Monarch himself in his dragon form. Oh, even though the dragon form is in darkness and we only see the head because he's just that large, he looks magnificent. And that's the end of the chapter, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dragon Fire, not Dragon Fear. Hold on. Did I say Dragon Fear? It says Dragon Fear right here. And Dragon Fear would make more sense considering that it affects... It's called the enemy of the dragon race. I mean, it makes more sense for it to be called Dragon Fear over Dragon Fire, because Dragon Fire itself is something that the dragons use all the time. But Dragon Fear, the description of a move that is the worst enemy of the dragon race, Dragon Fear sounds better to me, narrative-wise. But that's the end of the chapter. Let's look at some memes down here at the bottom. Let's see what this one says. It shows Jin shirtless, preparing to fight the Dragon Monarch with a person saying, that was super good too. And then it shows the Monarch transforming and the guy says, but this one is even better. This was a good chapter. This was such a good chapter. Oh, yes, sir. But yes, Dragon Fear sounds so much better. But let me see what you guys have said. Firstly, let me acknowledge everyone here. Kohagen, the Kratos, Nior, Agente, I want to say Eleonor? Yes, I want to say Eleonor. Welcome. Yes, I'm Ramil. Cdes Artist, good to see you as well. This was a good chapter, everybody. I was screaming. This was a good chapter. Monarch of Iron Body got clapped. Seriously. We see him transform one time, and then we see, here's the thing. We see him transform, but we see Beru go Super Saiyan 2, and we all think like, well, this dude's dead. The Monarch of Iron Body was killed off camera. Not even Baron was that mistreated. He was killed by Beru, Belion, and Andre. Belion be like, what you looking at, fool? It's so good. You just looking at like, yeah, we just killed one of your subordinates, but so what's next? Who else you got? Not only Beru, but Adam, Belion, and Very combined. He's not that weak. Who's Very? You might mean another someone. Yogumunt sounds like a Pokemon name, not gonna lie. It does! It does! Jinwoo, I outsmarted your outsmarting. Yogumunt used Thunderbolt. It's ineffective. Dragon Slayer. I'm thinking so. It's Dragon Fear. Is Dragon Fear not fire? We don't know. We didn't read the novel. That dude didn't even know, even though it was written in the chapter. This chapter, it's Dragon Fear. It's in the chapter. Oh, wait. No, it's fine. It's fine. Kohagen didn't know. He didn't know. It's just a theory, but the mana problem might be solved through status recovery, which Jin has not used in a hot minute. He hasn't used status recovery since the Beast Monarch skewered him through the chest. No. It was before then. No, it was after that. Status recovery was when the Beast Monarch skewered him through the chest. He hasn't used it since then. Dragon Fear. Don't be showing the name of the dude if the chapter Are we back? Okay, we're back. All right, we're back. Let me go ahead and say what I need to say so that it doesn't try and buffer for you guys again. Apologies. I'm pretty sure I lost a couple of people, them having to wait for me to fix the buffering issue. Let me see what I last said so we can continue that conversation. Okay. So the last I left off with was we were talking about him using status recovery and everything like that. But I think his buffering thought it was me. It doesn't say that the system is deleted, right? I believe some other translations reveal his name, though. Other translations may have, but not the one that I've been reading on Ashura Scans this whole time. I have not seen his name. And I would prefer if the chapters revealed his name rather than people just tell me. Rather than just people tell me in chat, because that doesn't do anything except, ruin the whole spectacle of me seeing their name front right. Like, I already know his name, unfortunately, because apparently people can't hold water. But I rather the chapters tell me than you guys. No disrespect to you guys, but I just rather a chapter tell me these things. System gone. No status recovery no more. You can't use status recovery because the system is deleted. So how did he recover from being skewered from the Shadow Monarch? Unless I'm remembering incorrectly. What was the chapter when he was fighting the Frost Monarch and the Frost Monarch thought he killed Jin and then Jin just recovers right behind him? What was that then? Because if I'm remembering correctly, I might be remembering incorrectly. Please forgive me if I've said anything wrong. $160 and $161 or $162? $160 and $161, Satchet says. Okay, so maybe I'm just remembering incorrectly since it's been a while since I read those chapters on whether he used status recovery or not. Wait, but Jin can't die, right? That's what the Shadow Monarch told him. I want to say pretty much, for all intents and purposes, Jin pretty much can't really die. I want to say. But I don't want to go too far into that. I don't want to go into those types of territories, or whether Jin can actually die or not, because then, people will get too preemptive and say, like, well, no, he can die here or he can die there. I don't want to get into that conversation. The monarchs can regenerate at at a certain rate, and the moment you're telling is before the system is deleted. Okay, so I'm probably just remembering the events of the system getting deleted and the very last time he used status recovery during his last fight before the system got deleted. I might be remembering incorrectly, so my apologies for that. But let's just talk about this whole chapter as a whole. This was a good chapter. We saw just a fraction of the power of the Dragon Monarch. Jin sends in his army at one point to go up against the Dragon Monarch, and with a mere swipe of his hand, the Dragon Monarch just blows away a giant portion of the city with a giant explosion that eclipses high into the sky. So large that it sends buildings flying off in different directions. It sends the shadows flying off in different directions, all with one hand. But as this is going on, we see one of the hunters, Liu Zhigong, going out of his way to kill a giant, and he's just standing there in the distance as he sees the energy, the magic energy permeating off of both Jin and the Monarch, just coming up from the other side, all the way from the other side of the city. Love Monarch of Destruction's dragon form. It looks epic. It really does look epic. It looks more epic than Grigori from Dragon's Dogma. And Dragon's Dogma had a real cool looking dragon in that one. Alduin? Who that? Smaug? Who that? It's all about that Monarch of Destruction right now. And given how large he is, because he's standing in front of Jin and the rest of them, and his size is absolutely massive. They're all minuscule. Correct me if I am not wrong, but did the Dragon Monarch completely destroy the Shadow Soldiers? I would like to think that he possibly did. Oh, that's interesting from Yes, I'm Ramil right here. Here's a much better plan for this fight. Do everything till now and drag the Sovereign of Destruction to the domain of death, eternal rest, and kill him there since he's basically a god in that place. Interesting. That might work, but we'll just have to see how things go since the Monarch has gone full dragon. He's gone,
I am fire. I am death.
Remember what Ashbourne said? Your power is omnipotent in the domain of death. That's a very specific thing to bring up now that you mention it. But this was a really good chapter overall. I mean, we didn't get to see all the other hunters fighting or anything. We just got Liu Zhigong. We see the Dragon Monarch destroying a giant portion of the city and much of Jin's soldiers as well. He sees him launching after Jin, saying, I'm not going to let you get away. And here's the thing. When I said earlier, let me correct myself right now so that I don't get turned around. When I said earlier that the Monarch of Destruction was going after Jin through the gate and someone came out of the gate, I originally thought, because I'm looking at it again and I'm correcting myself, I originally thought that someone was coming out of the gate to face him, but it's not. The Monarch actually went through that gate only to come face to face with Jin and the rest of his army in front of him. So that makes that whole scene even more epic. So the Monarch of Destruction was fooled into going into the gate that Jin made, only to come face to face with Jin's entire army on the outside, and see the Monarch of Steel Body basically just maimed, with Beru holding him like, look, master, I killed him. I got him. I killed him, master. Will you praise Beru, master? He's just standing there. Okay, I passed my comment or ignore, but I'm going to give you my thoughts. Do you remember that specific item Jin acquired? Do you mean Kamish's rune? Is that what you meaning? Because I think they might have explained that. Hold on, let me see what you said. I'm going up. I'm going up to see if you said anything remotely peculiar. Did I miss something from you, Ramil? Let me make sure. No, the item that brought his mama to life. Oh, the elixir. Cha Yun Woo, what is going on? You are coming in on the tail end of pretty much my reaction because we're just talking about it right now. Didn't the Dragon Fear skill come from Kamish's rune? Yes, that is the rune. But I believe they are talking about the elixir that Jin created that can bring people out of the eternal sleep. That might be what they're talking about. Wish there can be another solo leveling. Do have a huge question for the series that I want to believe there will be another solo leveling. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. Well, that's actually an interesting thing to bring up. But what would that possibly do for Jin in this situation? Sure, he could possibly heal him from grievous wounds. He has one life. Will he use it on himself? Maybe. Possibly, if the fight goes in that direction. That's an interesting thing to think of. But let me go back through this chapter again. I think Yogumunt is weaker than Iron Body. Dude, since I noticed Yogumunt doesn't have an army, they never show them. At least Iron Body Dude had some. I feel like Yogumunt functioned as the support monarch because we don't really see him using any... We don't really see him using any abilities to attack anyone. He was just there to... Radbrad. The Radbrad, how dare you bring up a notification saying how you're playing Elden Ring? Because remember, there was a network test for some people and there's an embargo, so people are starting to play the network test of Elden Ring, which I am definitely going to watch right now. I wasn't part of the network test, so I unfortunately can't join in on that until February. But we really haven't seen Yogumunt do anything except for be like the massive support guy. That's it. And now Yogumunt was pretty much incapacitated by Dragon Fear. That could pretty much incapacitated all. Yogumunt is just a portal, so he's basically Finral from Black Clover. That's a horrible position to be. Monarch of Portals. I love that. Monarch of Portals. Yogumunt of Portals. He's basically Finral from Black Clover. Only being called up to bring up portals, to bring in people, or to take the head honcho out. What kind of monarch is Yogumunt? Till now, we don't know what is his domain. We just know he's the monarch of Transfiguration. Now, if we were to look up what Transfiguration actually means... Transfiguration, a complete change of form or appearance in a more beautiful or spiritual state. Let's see what it means for magic users. I know there's a lot of Bible meanings here. Let's look up Transfiguration magic. So, Transfiguration is magic which changes one object into another. It is possible to change inanimate objects into animate ones and vice versa. Some Transfiguration spells alter a part of something, such as changing a person's ears from normal into rabbit ears. So, this is just from the Harry Potter lexicon. But when it comes to Transfiguration, it is essentially completely reconfiguring the appearance of one object into another object. That's what Transfiguration means in most mainstream media. Unless Yogamont is an architect, Yogamont, monarch of magic gates, king of the portals. Johnny, welcome. You're coming in on the very end of this stream. I just wanted to talk about this chapter because it was really good. But the fact that Jin fooled him. Wait, I guess the architect is a soldier of Yogamont. I guess just remember since Cides mentions the architect died when Jin killed the statue. He killed him. I know it's disappointing, but it is true. See, I was under the impression that he killed the architect as well. But going through this chapter, I incorrectly thought that someone came out of the gate to face the Dragon Monarch, but the Dragon Monarch went through it and is face to face with Jin's entire crew. Then we see Beru and Belion bringing in the disfigured, maimed body of the Monarch of Iron Body, telling Jin how good of a strategy he had, and Yogamont in the distance is just watching silently as he brings in more portals that causes more of his troops to come in all over the city. And there's numerous portals. There's like tens of 20s of portals that come in, and countless amounts of dragons come out of it, saying that these are the gates that the Monarch of Transfiguration, Yogamont, has prepared. By using these, I can summon as many of my troops as possible. Looks like I've completely crushed your plans. This misjudgment of yours will be the cause of your death. It's your loss. So Jin draws in all of his soldiers into himself so that only he remains. And he confuses the Dragon Monarch with him saying, why did you cancel all of your summons? Don't tell me you've given up already. Well, after seeing this overwhelming difference between us, it's not strange for you to give up. Already getting cocky like Aizen. And Jin closes his eyes as energy starts to crackle around him. And then part of Jin's body takes on a draconic looking form, as we find out that one of the runes that Jin is using, the rune that Jin is using from Kamish, has a skill in it that is essentially the bane of dragons. It is essentially the Dragon Ren Shout of Skyrim, which I will be playing tomorrow because the Anniversary Edition is coming out, and it's also a next-gen upgrade for Skyrim coming out as well. If that game does not get a 60 FPS mode for that whole game after these 11 years, Skyrim fails. But it's essentially Dragon Rend, which causes all of the dragons to be hit with fear and despair and incapacitates all of them. And the move is called Dragon Fear, and Jin just yells out loud, and it reaches all the way up into the sky, and it affects not only all of the Dragon Monarch's troops, but it also affects Yogamont as well. And then as all of his troops are incapacitated and none of them can do anything except for the Dragon Monarch himself, Jin basically Ichigos him out of the area all the way to Jin's own castle. And that's when Jin brings out his Shadow Soldiers. And then the Monarch transforms, with Jin saying, I thought the castle would be perfect to commemorate your death. And then the Monarch starts to transform into his full dragon form. And as we see him, he is absolutely massive, absolutely gorgeous in just the way he looks as a massive dragon, as Jin has all of his Shadow Soldiers standing there directly in front of him. What do I have to say about this whole chapter as a whole? Nothing short of fantastic. Just nothing short of fantastic. If I am not wrong, we also saw Dragon Monarch's astral form in chapter 168 as well. We did. We saw his astral form. We saw his astral form. We've seen references. We even seen his silhouette. We've even seen his silhouette back when they were talking about all of the monarchs as a whole. The Beast Monarch, the Frost Monarch, K-Resha, the Plague Monarch, all of them, and he was amongst them. So we already had a rough idea of what he would look like. But his dragon form, however, even that was steeped in shadow. When he killed all of the fighter jets that were firing on him, and he turned into a ginormous dragon. Even back then, when Ashbourne was saying how it was very difficult for him to find a vessel to house his power in, because not only his power is so great, but also the Dragon Monarch's power was so great. We saw a little glimpse of his stature as well, but we didn't get any really full details. This is the first time we're getting the Dragon Monarch's full face in a chapter, visible in his dragon form for the very first time. That's great. That is absolutely great. Yes, that explains the architect's origins, which weren't unclear. Yes, everything connects. Remember how the architect uses the system to change Jinwoo's body, and Yogamut is a sovereign of transfiguration? It makes sense. Architect is just like the monarch of transfiguration. That's how Jin went from being the scrawny, "Hi, dude. Hello, sir. I would like to take your daughter out," to Jin being a full-on, "Your daughter calls me daddy, too," type body. That's how it happened with Jin. 60 FPS, or we become the true army of destruction. I'm being serious. 11 years and you can't make it so that Skyrim can run at 60 frames per second? Come on, bruh. I don't know if I'm going to pay $19 extra just to get the anniversary portion of the game and have access to all of the character creation shop items and stuff like that. I just want to see what the next gen upgrade actually does. They say that it increases load times, but we don't get a full list of what all is coming with the Skyrim update tomorrow. But we'll have to see. Still want to believe that there's going to be a huge cliffhanger at the end of this battle, because if Jin defeats the Dragon Monarch, where or how or who protecting is going to obtain the Bowl of Reincarnations. Bowl of Reincarnations, so Monarch dies and can't come back, they're dead, is over. Selecting the vessel is different, they can't do that while dead. I'm thankful that they didn't change the name of Dragon Fear, it's still the same from the light novel. I'm thankful as well, because Dragon Fear sounds a lot better than when Cohagen called it Dragonfire, but Cohagen didn't know. But I feel like Dragon Fear is such a good name for a move. The worst enemy of the entire dragon race. Not any powers that monarchs have, but it took... You know what's funny? How Kamish's rune came from Kamish, who was once the servant of the Dragon Monarch, and in his body housed the power to incapacitate his own master's entire army. How that works, I don't know. Kamish, who formerly used to follow the Dragon Monarch, had the power in him that got turned into something that would later just be able to incapacitate his entire army. What is the breath attack called? Any name for it? There's no official name for it, but I just look at it as, screw everything in that general direction. Other people call it other things, but you know me, I don't use profanity, but that's essentially what that move is called. Screw everything in that general direction. Bah! And then just leave nothing but a charred, gaping hole in an entire continent in the opposite direction. I refuse to believe that Kamish wasn't a general of the Army of Destruction. Well, he was a high-ranking member. He's up there with the other dragon that swiftly got his head cut off. He's up there with that one, due to the fact that he's able to talk. Is the Horn Jinwoo his other form, or just from the skill? It's from the skill. It is a buff skill, which had I want to call it a buff skill that came from Kamish's rune, that allowed him to use Dragon Fear. That is not actually his separate form. That's not actually Jin's separate form. That just came from Kamish's rune itself. That is the side effects of him using Dragon Fear. But it's only temporary since of that one instance. So the Architect is the only soldier of Sovereign of Transfiguration, yet the Architect still chose to serve Ashbourne. Even the Architect doesn't like Yogument. No one likes Yogument. Yogument is the Finral of the group, but even Finral gets treated better in comparison to how Yogument is. Dude brings up portals, doesn't even get to fully show off his power. He's immediately incapacitated. Fire Dragon Emperor Roar. That sounds like something Natsu would say from Fairy Tail. Fire Dragon Emperor Roar! Seriously. Unless Kamish was knowledgeable and knew secret and low-key created something in advance just in case. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll never know. But overall, I believe I've read every single really important thing that you guys have said. Maybe they mistranslated. I believe I've read every important thing that you guys have said. I'm going to bring it to a close here because I've said all that I needed to say about this chapter. This chapter was fire. just straight fire. And I'm not saying that because the Dragon Monarch set everything else on fire. I'm just saying that it was great. Really, really great. A great chapter to wake up to, because I got home early from my shift last night. I got out home at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I slept until now. And I wake up to a very, very well narrated, well written, and well drawn, colored chapter. It's just nothing short of amazing. And if I remember correctly, no, we got one last week. I was about to say, this isn't the first solo leveling chapter we got this month. Overall, I enjoyed it. Imagine if Jinwoo absorbed the rune of Kamish before his fight with Thomas Andre. Thomas and his entire guild is done for without the Shadow Soldiers. Yeah. Just imagine. All this power that we're seeing Jin have now here in the final battle arc. Imagine him going up against people with that power that we've all thought were strong. Wouldn't stand a chance. It was, I want to see Jinwoo unleash his true form on both sides of rulers and monarchs. We're just going to have to wait and see what the next chapter holds for us. Pardon me, but I just want to say, that's all I got for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this reaction. Sorry if it seems like it went on for too long. Some people just only stay for the reaction and then don't really stay for what I think of the chapter as a whole. If you did stay, then I just want to say I highly appreciate you. But for those who didn't stay, I still appreciate you as well. I don't discriminate. I just want to say I really do hope you all enjoyed everything that I did here today and enjoy what I do now, because I mean, this is what I love to do. You guys hear me say it all the time, and I'm never going to stop saying it, because this brings me joy. This brings so much fulfillment to me to do this for you, because I love to do it. I don't do it because I'm obligated as a YouTuber to do these sort of things. I'm not obligated to make these sort of things. I do it because I love to do it, and because you love when I do this. You guys encourage me to go beyond plus ultra for whatever I do here. You guys are my motivation. Well, one of many motivations for me to continue this channel strong and do all these things for you guys. I just love this. I love this. I do. I really do. In the deepest part of my soul, I love this. So I just want to say, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. Is Jin gonna fight the rulers? They don't seem to be on good terms since they used his dad. Something to think about.